All right, everybody. We've got a good one for you here. We're going to talk all things National Wrestling Alliance. I got my little list here of who we have in all the championships. Please welcome right now a who's who of NWA champions. We have Alex Taylor, the World Junior Heavyweight Champion. We have the Mid-American Champion, Jeremiah Plunkett. We have Carson Drake, the TV champ. And, of course, Tom Latimer, the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. Latimer. Oh, yeah, and okay. And we didn't even get a chair for you. Okay. He wants to be standing, so he's just ready to get out of here if need be. Well, thank you, guys. Look at the hardware that we have up here. Some of these championships are really, I mean, these are some of the most prestigious championships in all of wrestling history. That's not, hyperbole. That is the absolute truth. So my first question, we'll kind of just go down the line here. We'll let you be the main event down there. We'll start here. How does it feel to know that you were carrying that legacy as a champion in the NWA?
Well, it's a pain in the ass to get it through TSA. It's the heaviest belt in the business. It's cool, man. Yes, I'll pass this on to Plunky now.
Yeah, no, I'll echo what Alex said. So I grew up on Memphis wrestling, and this belt originated in the Memphis territory, so it's a little extra special for me. But yeah, no, I mean it's a dream come true. I'm really, literally doing what I pictured myself doing as a child.
That's awesome, Mr. Drake.
With the legacy of it, I don't really get it. Just because, Arn Anderson was good, right? But, basketball teams back in, the 30s were good for, the 30s. So, technically, today, they'd suck.
So just to be clear, we're saying Arn Anderson today.
Maybe, okay, let me rephrase. So, Anderson, Blanchard, Wyndham, not bad wrestlers, just comparative to me in the newer, they wouldn't have a chance. So it's I'm trying to start my own legacy. Stop laughing. So I'm trying to engrave my own legacy just because beforehand just isn't that good, but people think it's good because that's what they grew up on.
All right, well, that's an interesting take, and we appreciate that. So, Tom Latimer, you obviously have the most prestigious of all the championships here, which is, of course, not a knock on any of these, but it's the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. How does it feel to you to represent the entire company, to have the 10 pounds of gold, and to be the current face of something with such an incredible lineage?
Do I hold it?
No, you just press it once, and then you're...
Hello. There we go. I've been wrestling 22 years, a long time. It's taken me a long time in my journey to get to this point. When I was a kid, I wanted to be in the job. I wanted to be like my favorite pro wrestlers on TV, but I never really envisioned myself as a world heavyweight champion. I just loved the job and I wanted to be in it and wanted to do what the guys on TV did. And I took the long way around. I got signed to big places and didn't do things correctly. I had a bit of a drinking problem. And so for me, being the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion is it's a redemption story. It's something that like I said, I took the long way around. I could have, maybe I would have had action figures and millions of dollars in the bank and PlayStation games, with my face on it, and that wasn't to be. But what I learned is you push through and you try and conquer your demons, good things can happen even if you take the long way around. So long-winded story here, but for me, it's like this title isn't just legacy, honor, tradition. It's about Tom Latimer proving to the world and to himself what a real world champion should be like. And if you can conquer your demons, you can do anything.
Well said. So, yeah, listen. So, Carson, you spoke just a little bit about your feelings on the past. NWA, of course, for the last few years now has been a completely different beast than what it was, of course, what it was for decades, right? There was that kind of time in between where it really wasn't much of anything. And then Billy Corgan came in, and it is what it is today. What do you, and we'll start with you here because I feel like you're going to have an interesting answer, but I want to know everybody's opinion here. What do you want people to think when they hear NWA? Because the first thing I think most fans do still go back to that lineage, which is not a knock on today's NWA, but the rich history of it. So what do you want people to think about when they hear NWA?
I guess I would want them to think about the four guys sitting up here, because these are the four best. And not to knock on the past, but like every sport, like football teams back in the 20s wouldn't stand a chance. So it's like, I'm just saying the four guys on this stage here would dog walk any four champions in the history of NWA. This is the best. This is where it's at. So the National Wrestling Alliance, I think, should really stand for what the best has to offer. I would say that's pretty apropos.
What about you? What do you think as far as what you'd like people to think about the NWA?
You know, I is this on still?
I had that problem.
We on?
I think so, yeah.
All right. Well, I echo everything Carson said. People think of the NWA, they think of the Southern Six. I mean, no offense to these brothers here who are right up there with us, but we carry the damn company. Myself, Kerry Morton, and Thrillbilly Silas Mason. We are the show. I mean, there's no denying that. All you people here, when you think of the NWA, you think of the Southern Six. Am I wrong or am I right?
Well, that was a wrong and right there. Six is high.
Six is high.
I've got a little less of an overinflated ego than my buddy Carson here. I'm a giant fan of tradition. And like I said, I think everybody in their generation of wrestling wants it to be like what they watched when they were a kid. And that's what I do. The Mid-America Championship is the territory championship. And I travel to each and every territory in the NWA, as well as any independent that wants it, and I defend this there. And to me, that's what a champion of the old days does, and that's what I do today.
Tom.
Hold on. There we go. I think what's old is new. I feel like, it's a good thing that we have that history and lineage, and it's obviously about carving out our own way forward. Times have changed. Wrestling is a different place now. But for me, I grew up in England, learning about the NWA and American wrestling. That came later on in my career, especially when I realized, the caliber of guys that came before me and the people that I should look up to and want to be like. So, I do honestly think we are the four best sat here. I mean, we just are, and I'm comfortable saying that. But I think that, again, for me, my ex-father-in-law was world heavyweight champion. my best friend Nick Aldis, former NWA World Heavyweight Champion, and so it's I think it's just in my DNA and my blood to be part of this company, and I'm happy that Billy is brought back out from sort of the depths, and we've got an alternative because the boys need places to work, and fans need different products to watch. So,
What about you? What do you think as far as what you want people to think of? It's not as easy as
Did you
it
do
is.
it? Is it on? Okay. What are you asking me?
Well, what do you think? What would you like people to think of when they say NWA?
Well, of course they think of Danny Deals. I mean, I am the voice of the show. I am the color commentator. I'm the one who cuts all the deals. I make all the good merch. I have some, by the way, in that room over there for everybody. I will cut deals with anybody, right? So that's what they think of. They think of Danny Deals, and them too, of course.
So outside, right? So outside of
well,
Danny
let's also not forget. I'm sitting here because our women's champion Kenzie Page had a travel issue. Let's not forget about the ladies either.
No, not at all.
All right?
The NWA.
I think Kenzie might be able to beat up Carson. That's just my.
What's that?
No, I'm just kidding.
If she could, I wouldn't make more money than her.
Oh.
Well,
That's a
if you
whole
look at
other
Tom's shoes,
conversation,
I think
I
we
think,
know
but-
who makes the most up here. Look at those brothers.
Look at those shoes.
Yeah, somebody wrestled an alligator for those things.
We did. Tom told us a little bit about how it came into your, a little bit later in your career when you became familiar with it. And of course, we heard you grew up on Memphis. But what are some memories of the NWA, the history of the NWA? We'll start with you and go down. What's the earliest you remember, or maybe the biggest impact from the NWA when you were growing up as a fan?
Well, off the top of my head, I remember going to a local NWA show when it was in the dark times, and
Me and Plunkett were probably on
there
it.
was this tag team called the Untouchables. I mean, I was a young child, grade school, and a very young Jeremiah Plunkett was out there doing his thing, and that inspired me to get into the business. Later, I found guys on the WWE like Shawn Michaels, but Plunky is really the guy that inspired me to get into wrestling.
It's his fault.
And I apologize every day. I'm sorry.
We can tell who in the audience has been to the bar today. I'm just saying.
Bring us beers, please.
Yeah, somebody brought.
I'll
beers
trade
to the
T-shirts for
last-
beer, by the way.
The last panel, somebody came in and brought beers, so by all means,
We
you're
will-
champions here. Okay.
We will trade 8x10s for beer.
And how about you? What was your earliest, obviously way earlier from what we understand now, your earliest memory?
I'm not as old as Alex likes to put out that I am. Honestly, the first time I heard NWA was watching WCW, and they were talking about things in the past, and that led me down a hole into discovering Jim Crockett Promotions and stuff that was already done by the time my wrestling fandom began. And then I fell in that hole, and I fell deep. Like I said, I grew up on Memphis, so I already had a kind of love for old school wrestling. But then when I found the old NWA territories, I was hooked.
Carson Drake.
Kind of on the same point that Alex was making. I was super, super young.
You were at that show too?
I was, yeah. I was 6 years old, and I saw it was Jeff Jarrett versus Sting for the NWA World Title in 2006. I remember that, and that's probably my earliest memory of NWA. And then also, I saw Plunkett at that show. I was 6. It was 2006, and I was 6 years old, and Plunkett was tearing the house down.
No, I was wrestling in 2006.
Yeah. So I think at this point what I want to do is I want to open it up to everybody here and get some questions from you guys. We'll kind of keep them to – we won't go too far back in anyone's career. Luthez matches and whatnot, you know.
My match was Strangler Lewis in 47.
Who has some questions here? We'll take some
Put
questions.
Christ over for the title.
Oh, there we go, right there. Can we get a somebody? There we go.
She's loud enough. She doesn't need it.
Oh, well, this gentleman here was first. And he's already standing. So,
Hey, how's it going?
hello.
So the Lightning One era kind of started with the 10 pounds of gold series, and then once Power started, they just kind of stopped doing that. I don't know how much you guys have Billy's ear, but like I really feel like you've probably got a story that's more personal that could be delivered through the 10 pounds of gold series. I don't know. Is there any talk of bringing that back? Because that's kind of what started the modern NWA, in my opinion.
Real quick before I hand this off, I'm pretty sure Billy Corgan has forgotten I work for him. So if we could just keep this down.
I don't know if there's plans to do that again or not. It's not a bad idea. I think when they did it, it was a way to introduce the belt and introduce Tim Storm, who I had known for a long time but wasn't known by a wide scope, and reintroduce Nick and the belt because, well, me and Plunkett back in the Prairie times, we had worked for the NWA when it didn't have as much cover. Once it broke away from TNA, that was the last time until Billy bought it that it was even seen on a national scale. So I think it was just a way to reintroduce the belt and introduce these new people. And I mean, it was very cool. And maybe we will again. I'm not sure, but there was no show at the time, and so outside of doing 70 or Nick at All In or pop-up shows, they just had to have some content going to get excitement behind it to launch Power. I believe that was the reason. I was just a PA, so I don't really know. I just made all that up.
That was a great question, though, and that to that point, because I did love that series that they were doing, and I do think that something like that does help to bridge the gap. NWA obviously has its TV, but it is something, especially now with social media as well, where you're allowed to kind of expand on the characters, expand on the lineage, and really focus on the modern time, which Carson is such a fan of. So the modern times as well. So yeah, I think that's a great idea, and I'll send a message to my close personal longtime friend Billy Corgan, and
maybe we'll do the junior heavyweight title. I guess will be 5 pounds of gold. So maybe we'll do one on Alex.
the heaviest belt. In
no,
wrestling.
it's a heavy son of a bitch. Yeah.
Another question here, right there.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I have to say you because I married you. Yeah. I didn't marry Jerry Lawler, so.
That was a loaded question right there.
Oh, we got some more questions here.
Okay, this is for everyone. Since being with the NWA, what is your most exciting match?
Who wants to go
Well,
first?
Alex and I almost both died in St. Louis.
That was
Right?
a
I
good
got
time,
a choke
yeah.
slam from Frankenberry that choke slammed me all the way to the announce booth. And you landed on the ropes in a mishap. And Medusa assaulted me as well.
So that was your favorite.
It wasn't, but
Probably when I beat that bum Joe Alonzo for this title. I don't know. I think my best match is yet to come.
As much as I want to say the match with Deals and AT, where we thought AT almost died. I've been
me
doing a lot
too.
of,
Come on, jeez. Fuck me, right?
yeah, sorry. His was visually more. Oof. Since winning the Mid America Championship, I've been going to the territories, and I had a match with Crazy Steve for NWA JCP, and me and that guy bring the best out of each other. which is unfortunate because me and AT are wrestling him and somebody tomorrow, and we're going to beat the brakes off of him. So.
I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about the actual number one pick that I have, but the number 2 one would be where I beat Max for the TV title. And I said I would do it weeks on end, and then everybody said I wouldn't. But dog walked Max.
Oh, thank you, Tony. After COVID, just when we got back from COVID, we did a Back from the Attack where I wrestled Pope, and it was the first time we'd sort of been back in the studios, and even though we didn't have real fans there, we had the boys there chanting for us. It just felt good to be back because it had been a year and a half since we'd wrestled, since we'd been around each other, and so we knew, okay, NWA Power had stopped for the year or whatever it was. We're slowly going to start back on the train and pick up momentum again. So that was special. And then I'm going to say it. The match that I'm going to have that hasn't aired yet with Carson, because this guy here is everything. If I was to create a wrestler and have my big heel, he'd be the guy. He's young, he's hungry, he gets it, he's athletic. I've got nothing but good things to say about Carson. And I love all you guys, but I'm just saying, like, Carson's the one to watch. He'll be a future world heavyweight champion, no doubt. But yeah, that hasn't happened yet. It could be terrible, actually, but it felt good, so.
Carson is also a philanthropist, a chef, and can give you good financial advice. And the Carson Shuffle, which has been taking the world by storm. Everywhere I go, somebody wants to show me their version of it.
Okay. Who actually watches NWA Power here? Not many. Do we know that it's on X? Okay, watch it. It's on X, 6:05 on Tuesdays. That's right? Well, I was going to ask you guys what you like about it, what you don't, or what we could be doing, what we should be doing. But if no one watches it, well, there's no point in me asking.
Well, hey, you know what? I'll piggyback off of that. The people who aren't watching it, why aren't you watching it? Like, who wants to give an answer of what's that? Well, that's fair. That is fair. But other reasons, maybe, is it, because, look, there is so much wrestling today.
Well, it's a swelled marketplace, too.
Yeah, I mean,
there's only so many hours in the day.
There's only so many hours in the day. I can speak personally for somebody who literally gets paid to watch it and then talk about it, and it is sometimes it's almost impossible to watch all of it. But I am curious, outside of that, what is something that you guys would want to see from NWA that would make you say, hey, okay, I'm adding this on to my list? Because, listen, it's on X. It is probably the easiest show that you can watch, because I guarantee you the majority of you are already scrolling through that on a Tuesday, probably around 6:05. So what is it? Show of hands for whoever is willing to answer that question of what for you would make you tune in.
I know for me especially, I used to watch NWA Power a lot, but then when it started moving platform to platform more often, a little bit too consistently, it just became too hard to keep up with it, and also losing track of episodes and uploads sometimes. It just made it really difficult to track what was going on sometimes.
Pain in the ass to find it. That's
Do you think that having, as was mentioned before, that 10 pounds of gold, kind of those types of shows might be easier to kind of get yourself back into? Now, I don't work for NWA, so I have no, dog in the fight here, but I'm just thinking, is that something that might help you to be able to kind of bridge that gap between where you left off and where they are right now?
Because there's so many storylines generally going on rather than something to really jump onto. It makes it a little bit difficult to really continue watching sometimes.
Well, I appreciate your feedback, because, that's something that, in other companies we've had that problem with. You jump around a bunch of times. Eventually you upset people. you piss them off. You know, if they've invested time and money into something and then you switch, there's only so many times you can do that before ultimately people turn their backs on you. So I completely understand it. So, but for anyone that is feeling that way, I hope you can forgive us. We're not in charge, but also, you know, hopefully you can see it in your hearts to one day go back on X and give it a shot. I mean, ultimately, you know, you've got wrestling everywhere. We're just trying to give an alternative and, you know, fill in that gap that isn't already filled. But is there anything else, any other reasons why besides that, which is a really valid, great point?
If you tune in and 1 week and you happen to catch a Mims match, just wait till next week and try again. It gets better.
He's right, though, Tom. That happened to us. Remember, we were at TNA. We were on 4 channels in 4 years, changed days, times. People were like, fuck it. Got tired of chasing us.
You got a question back there or a comment?
I saw the Maple Leaf Pro show that you were on defending the world title, and when I saw that, I was like, holy shit, the NWA title's on the line here. I do think there's something to be said for, like, working with other promotions and kind of, like, I mean, it's still the NWA World's title. Like, I'd like to see that on, you know, Wrestle Kingdom, you know, something like that. Like, I still feel like it has equity to go anywhere. Like, I don't know how much Billy or whoever wants to work with other promotions, but when things are so insular, like, people feel like they can ignore it a bit more. I don't know. Like, does that make sense?
No, you're right. For me, I'll go anywhere I'm told. Right, I'm happy to defend it. I want to do that. I want to get out there. I'm sure we all do. And I have a relationship with Scott Demore from TNA in the past. So when Scott hit me up to come wrestle for him and main event one of his shows, oh yeah, it gets me excited. It's great because it is. It's buzz. It's something outside of the company, but for the company. So the more we can do that kind of stuff, I'm all for it. But again, it's kind of, there's only so much we can do as wrestlers. And I wish it was that easy to just call up another place and be like, hey, book me, or hey, do this, do that. But unfortunately, it doesn't work like that as much as I wish it did. So I hope there's more stuff like that, and I hope that we could do more 10 pounds of gold. I'm not saying we're handcuffed, but to a degree, there's only so much we can do as pro wrestlers. But again, you know, we just what we do, we hope is at least enough to try and keep your attention and make you somewhat happy in this hard landscape of pro wrestling.
Something that I do think is cool that you guys are doing with the championship, specifically the NWA championship, was I got to watch front row there as one of the commentators when you defended the title against Tommy Dreamer at the old Mid-Hudson Civic Center in Poughkeepsie, and that was the first time that the NWA title had ever been defended in that building, which has such an insane history in wrestling. So I think that, yeah, to your point, you know, you being a Maple Leaf Pro and you doing things for ACW and stuff like that with the championship does hopefully bring those eyes back to what you guys are doing. I thought that match was actually excellent with you and Tommy Dreamer. I didn't know what to expect going into it, you know, and it really was a great match and an opportunity to continue to make history for the NWA. So I think, is that something that you guys also would like to be able to kind of travel more? Obviously, you know, you're traveling all over the place, but travel more to other promotions that maybe even aren't associated with the NWA to kind of just say, hey, this is what we're doing, and hope that brings the eyes to the product. Because NWA, what you guys are doing is really, really good wrestling. So hopefully more people will tune in.
I want to get everywhere. I just spent 2 weeks in England and Wales defending the belt, but anywhere and everywhere. I think all these guys would agree with that. If the money's right, of course.
Hello. Oh, there we go. Again, it's like, as a pro wrestler, this is how I pay my bills. This is how I pay my mortgage. And I kind of repeated myself, but I wish it was that easy to just go, hey, this is the amount of money I need to be able to do this. And wrestling, depending on where you are, it's difficult to make a living, or it can be. There's only the golden circle at the top. They make all the money, and everything else kind of trickles down, right? And so there is a level of, is it worth me leaving my house to get hurt for this? Is it, will they pay and fly me and cover my hotels and all these sorts of things? So there's all these sorts of dilemmas going on. I wish it was as easy as going, yes, because we would defend these titles every day of the week in places. But ultimately, the money and the situation needs to be right. And a lot of places don't like paying, and you get what you pay for. So for me, I'm not going to go and do anything unless it's worth getting screamed at by my wife. You know what I mean?
Do we have one last question?
Okay, there's two parts to my piece here. First part, I would just like to thank you guys for carrying on the NWA tradition. I grew up in the 80s in a territory for the NWA, and it warms my heart that it's still going on. So thank you guys for carrying that on. That means a lot to me personally. Second part, I want to know, I heard from Jeremiah Plunkett, but I want to know from AT about your match tomorrow night. How excited are you? What's going to go down?
Crazy Steve is a coward who hides behind face paint. And I know for a fact that he can't hold his liquor, so I'm not too worried about it. Me and Plunky, for a while, were the premier tag team in the NWA, and we were unjustly split up, but tomorrow we're going to reunite and show the world what we got.
Yeah, just real quick about getting back together with AT. It was 2 years ago last month, right? Yeah, 2 years ago last month, we got split up by the NWA, and we haven't tagged since. But that all changes tomorrow. Props to Ed for booking that. He's a smart guy.
Before we go, if I personally can just do a little bit of business myself, I do want to say that this has been a pleasure to have all of you on here. Tom, we just met, great to hear from you. You had a very good reign. It is not, you are going to make more history. I believe the first time that championship will ever be defended on a beach, that's coming this July for Fight Factory Wrestling. Unfortunately for you, you will be defending that against Danny Moff. So I just wanted to know real quickly, do you have a game plan going into this, and how you, I don't want to say win because we're not going to, obviously we know that won't happen, but how will you survive? Well, no, now listen, this is just, how do you plan to make it out to be able to continue your career after that match with Danny Moff?
Joshy, you've been a great host. I'm going to try and not kick your ass right now. But look, I'll be honest. I was a Danny Maff fan when I was a kid. The Burning Hammer. I love Maff. So for me, getting to step in the ring with him, I've never wrestled the man before. I barely know the man. But as a kid, I thought he was cool. So I'm excited to go in there. I'm excited to kick his ass like I'm going to do you later. But I not only that, but I get to work on my tan on the beach while I kick Dan's ass. So you know what I mean. But no, I appreciate your time here tonight, Josh, and good luck to you and Mr. Maff, because you're gonna bloody need it.
No, well, listen, I appreciate that very much. I didn't mean to be disrespectful in any way. Obviously, I'm incredibly confident in what Danny Moff's going to be able to do, but I am looking forward to being there on that beach. And I guess may the best man win. I'm excited for Danny Moff to have both those championships over his shoulder. But until then, I wish the best for all of you. And tomorrow is going to be a lot of fun. I hope you will all join us. And thank you so much for joining us here on this panel.
Yeah, thank you guys. And like I said, we're doing what we can there. If you see it in your hearts to get on X, on Twitter, and give us a watch, do it. We appreciate it, man. We're doing it for you guys, so thank you.
Last thing from me, of course, bring us beer, come buy our merch, but save some money. Go to the NationalWrestlingAlliance.com shop. Buy this shirt. Jack Staying Forever.
Yes. All right, thank you, everybody.